Well, I didn't make it as a Formula One fan. In fact, I knew I'd have to learn about the sport. I didn't know much more about Formula One than I knew about going to the moon before Apollo 13. But the characters were fascinating, and sports, they offer a lot of drama. That's what we do like about games and competitions and things like this. So I thought of it more as a personal competition story, not a story about Formula One. And I felt that the drama that was going on not only on the track and the races, but also away from the track, the way they were being tested, the gauntlet that the 1976 season turned out to be on a personal level, on an emotional level. That was all. I thought just had a tremendous amount of potential.
And did you see some parallels there in these two rivals and the way that they perhaps outmaneuvered each other on and off the track, Peter?
Yes, look, they are very different people, but they have some similarities. These are both very headstrong individualists. These are both people who are black sheep in their family. But they came to Formula One in two totally different ways, and they came to pursuing excellence and the quest for greatness, I suppose lasting greatness, in two totally different ways. And one was a playboy, and one, calculated the odds and played by the odds. And that was, it was very interesting that we're not just comparing them as drivers, but also as lovers and husbands, fiancés. They both got married within a couple of months of one another. One of them got divorced very quickly. You couldn't make it up. And in fact, we had to do a lot to lessen. We took a lot of great things out of the period of time that we covered in the film, because sometimes it just seemed too vivid and too lurid.
And living in Austria, I believe you actually knew Niki Lauda already. What sort of insight did you get from him? And talking to him, did that take you off in any unexpected directions?
Well, to me, everything was unexpected because I was learning it all for the first time. And so anything, every time Niki, who has a very focused mind, and he could take you through Formula One, the intricacies of Formula One in a very clear and lucid way. But everything that he said, I hung on every word that he said, and everything that he said was a revelation to me.
Ron, the race sequences are just thrillingly exciting. It looks like you did some innovative filmmaking there as well with your cinematographer, Anthony Dodd-Mantle. You got cameras sort of looking at the eyes of your driver, I believe, on top of cars, and there were 35 in use at one point, is that right?
Yeah, well, thank you. I mean, I did feel that while it's a great character piece, that there was this unique combination with this movie. You could actually do something that was cinematic and visceral and demanded to be seen on the big screen, and be intimate, smart, and entertaining in a more sophisticated way. So it's a smart, intelligent film. But I did really want the character of those guys to find its way into those races, and that meant we had to make it psychological. And Anthony was, I think, brilliant at helping me sort of turn that into a cinematic visual idea. And so did the editors, Dan Hanley and Mike Hill. And it was just an ongoing discussion, probing, where can we be? Formula One is covered so well on television. How do we take it further? How do we personalize it more? And I felt that's where the possibility of real suspense, nail-biting suspense in the movie theater could exist, whether you cared about the sport or not.
So you obviously had some logistical and technical challenges to rise to, but in terms of casting, I've heard that you said this is actually probably the easiest film that you've made. Why were Chris Hemsworth and Daniel Bruhl sort of so right for the roles, and what happens when you put them together?
Well, it came together so quickly because Peter, of course, this is his project. He generated it. He's a producer on it. It was it was a train rolling out of the station when I was lucky enough to get on board. And he already had strong feelings about Daniel and Alexandra, which I could immediately recognize why.
But we struggled with Chris. Not with Chris. We struggled with the James Hunt part until Chris sent us this tape, and then it was a eureka moment.
Yeah, it was fantastic because here's this guy's. Clearly everybody's looking at him and saying, "Well, the Thor movie, Huntsman wasn't out yet, but I hear he's good in that." He was sort of much more charming and entertaining in Thor than you'd expect, but not James Hunt. Those movies aren't dramas. They're not psychological. And he sent us this self-made audition that just completely won the day. And from that moment on, I knew we had not just a good cast, we had a great cast.
Ron Howard, Peter Morgan, thanks very much.
Pleasure.
Congratulations as
Thanks.
well.